It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Oh, yes, it does. And good to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. Lots to do over the next 60 minutes on this broadcast. All across the U.S., Canada as well. Tino Pattigno will drop by, recap another win for Christopher Bell. He has won 3 of the 4 races to start the NASCAR Cup Series season. Wow. That is fast becoming a big story across the sports world. We'll talk with him about that. Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, drops by to talk about NFL, which is where we begin without any sort of wasting time, Sam Yarnell. What a wild weekend. Boy, if the NBA stole the NFL's thunder during Super Bowl week, what did the NFL do this weekend? Wow. Just a ton of signings, trade activity, rumors, speculation. I said we have to build out like a few segments in the show today just to talk about the NFL. So that's what we'll do for the first half of this program and begin with the stunner. Myles Garrett going back to Cleveland after saying he wants a trade. You've got the owner, Jimmy Haslam, saying, I'm not going to meet with him. And then all of a sudden they come to terms on a career, a record-setting deal for Myles Garrett now, who's going to remain in Cleveland as a Brown. I guess winning a championship really didn't mean all that much at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's so funny. Back and forth and back and forth. Canton to Cleveland. Canton to Cleveland doesn't mean anything. Oh, no, wait. If you give me $40 million a year, yeah, I guess Canton to Cleveland is fine. I'll take that. Who cares about rings? Crazy now that the Browns, right as we talked about last week, Jason Page, right as they're about to somehow finally get out of all that guaranteed money they promised to Deshaun Watson, okay, let's just guarantee a bunch more money to someone else because we're the Cleveland Browns and we can't operate without having one of the largest contracts in the NFL on our cap at some point during our history. It truly, truly is wild how this saga ended. I was all but sold down the river that he was going to end up somewhere in the NFC East. That said, does it make Cleveland any better? No, they're still they're still the 4th best team in that division, and there are only 4 teams in that division, Jason Page.
And that division is getting very interesting with the conversation about Aaron Rodgers, which we'll talk about, potentially him winding up with the Steelers, which we'll talk about coming up a little later on with Nick Ferguson, and get some thoughts with him. And you wonder, what is the Browns? What's the Browns plan at the quarterback position now? Because they had to have sold. Look, it has to be more. It has to be. I have to believe it's more than the money. That they had to have sold him on a vision for how this franchise is actually going to be able to win games this year. And that means having to go and get a quarterback. And it means having to go get the pieces to put around that quarterback. I'm just dying to know where Cleveland goes, at the quarterback position right now, Sam.
I'm hearing, is that Joe Flacco's music? Oh my gosh.
My God, it's Joe Flacco.
Yeah. It just seems like that's where they're headed. Like, yeah, they could use a draft pick, is
Flacco a free agent?
Because I don't think the Colts kept him. Listen, I don't think the Browns are kind of in a position to draft a quarterback, and I don't think you're going to draft a quarterback right after you pay Myles Garrett $40 million a year while you still have the Deshaun Watson contract on the books. It's got to be a vet minimum guy and maybe like a late round quarterback, unless Jackson Dart somehow falls to the Browns.
And Cleveland, is considering, according to an article over on Cleveland.com, that Flacco is on the Browns' radar. So we'll see. He could potentially wind up back there as a bridge option. You could do it, I guess, if you're Cleveland. So let me get this right, okay? The Seahawks say bye-bye to Tyler Lockett. Now they trade DK Metcalf to the Steelers. And now you're going to tell me that you're going to go after Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback with nobody for him to throw the football to. What the hell are are the Seahawks doing?
All right, hold on. I got to back up for a second. The Browns have the second overall pick. So after Cam Ward, they need to decide if they're going to trade it away and actually go the route of Flacco.
Yeah, I should have fact checked.
If they're going to draft Travis Hunter and try to construct a defense around Myles Garrett. I don't know. Bottom line, they're in a horrible position. All right, Seahawks, from one team that's in a horrible position to another team that's in a horrible position. Yeah, the Seahawks, Jason, they're selling out. This is it. They're blowing it all up.
Which I'm okay with, but don't tell me you're going to... Why in his right mind, which is rare, would Aaron Rodgers go to Seattle to play for a Seahawks team that has nobody to throw the football to?
Because...
He's not going there. That's what it means. He's not going there. He's not going to go and get his you-know-what beat in for 17 weeks to go just so he has a job in the NFL. He's not doing that. He's not going there. There's no way. I will eat my shoe if he goes there. He's not going there. So
this is an interesting discussion because why? There are a couple of answers as to why.
You're going to suck.
Right?
Suck.
What?
If you're the Seahawks, if you're going to suck. Throw in some, journeyman quarterback back there and go 2-15. And go get yourself a better quarterback in the draft next year, which should have a better quarterback class in it.
So, I think
suck for Archman.
Are we not at a point in Aaron Rodgers' career where we can say that he's a journeyman? No. He's a veteran journeyman.
I won't go there. I actually want to do a topic on this. Maybe tomorrow we'll do it on the show. Ranking the next quarterback
team he
class.
signs with.
Yeah,
but the next team he signs with will be his third team in 4 years. Mm-hmm. The only year in there withstanding, he sat out all but 5 plays with a torn Achilles.
Right.
I think we're at a point where Aaron Rodgers has reached that veteran journeyman status, and he's not far off. He's closer to a Joe Flacco than an Anthony Richardson in that a team, whoever signs him, is not going to have a ton of expectations.
I don't know if Anthony Richardson is the example I'd use, but your point is taken.
Young quarterback, high ceiling.
Yeah,
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, go CJ Stroud, because I don't know if the ceiling's as high on Anthony Richardson as a lot of people think, but yeah, Jordan Love, fine. We'll do. So I got a fun exercise we're going to do on quarterbacks tomorrow on the show, but I want to bring in Nick Ferguson and get some thoughts with the former NFL safety. What does he make of all this wildness? There's a whole bunch of other NFL headlines to get to, and we'll get to them next. We welcome you back. Good to have you with us on this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. I promised a Nick Ferguson, and a Nick Ferguson I shall produce. There he is, former NFL safety, hanging out with us on the show. One of my 2 favorite people we have on this program. 2. Him and David Ardsma. My guys. Sam, you're on the show every day. That's a given. That's different. You and I, we tolerate each other. That's what we do. When you work together as much as we do, we just get through it. So Nick Ferguson, what'd you make of the Myles Garrett about face here?
That was very interesting. When you go to talk to the owner, and the owner say, you know what? That's not my deal. Hey, go talk to Andrew Berry. Let him handle that. That's what I hired him for. The first thing I thought was, wait a minute. I thought the idea was trying to keep your players, and even if you as an owner, you can have that conversation, that can change a lot of things. Think about what we saw in the in-season Hard Knocks with your New York Giants when John Mara told Joe Shane, hey, listen, Saquon Barkley is one of our most important players, but they let him go down to Philly and he wins a Super Bowl, which John Mara probably still can't sleep right now understanding that. But it was a hard pivot. Things changed. And Myles Garrett said, well, I didn't really want a divorce. I was just joking. I was just testing the waters to see what you were going to say. And then they kind of gave him that money on. And then all of a sudden things changed. Like we never really had a problem.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand what changed other than the money. did they make some sort of commitment as to how they actually make this thing a winner so he's not just playing for a losing team for his entire Hall of Fame career? I don't get it. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, yeah, I said it earlier to you, Jason. It's the Cleveland Browns. They've just always got to have one of the biggest contracts in the NFL off the books, and that Deshaun contract is out of guaranteed money after either this year or next. And hey, now you got Myles Garrett that you're handcuffed to for X amount of years. Nick, I wanted to talk a little bit about an area of expertise for you specifically. J.C. Horn has become the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. $100 million, 70 guaranteed, 25 a year. What was your reaction when you saw this number for J.C. Horn of the Carolina Panthers?
Well, the first thing I thought was, wow, great for him and great for his family. The second thing, I was just like, wow. They're just giving out money, hand over fist, man. I mean, this is now coming like a decade later than when I played. But J.C. Horn, I mean, he is a good corner in his own right. And when you think about Carolina, they're trying to keep their defense together, and you have to do that by having a guy who is considered your shutdown corner. Now, someone asked me today, well, if you were to compare J.C. Horn to Patrick Surtain, who would you choose? I was like, well, that's not even a question. That's not even an argument. I mean, clearly PS2, but J.C. Horn he was Carolina's version of PS2. So that's why they had to keep him in-house. So what happens during this time, some team, Carolina Panthers being that team, they just took that positional market up to an entirely different level, giving J.C. Horn that type of money. But I'm happy for him. I'm shocked at the same time, and I think some of that shock is the fact of, man, where was this money when I played?
See, now you sound like Charles Barkley and Shaq complaining about the money that the young guys are making today.
Hey, wait, hold on. Come on, JP. You too were complaining about the money when they're giving you small nibbles when you're playing, but now they're giving these guys big paydays, of course. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm happy for them, but still at the same time, I'm like, man, where's that time?
Couldn't have been born 20 years later, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. What'd you think of the Chargers bringing back Khalil Mack on a one-year deal?
Well, I thought that was the best thing for them because, no Joey Bosa. He's now out of there. You have to try to find a way to keep your guys in-house. And that defense wasn't that great, but you need to make sure that you're able to get a veteran pass rusher that can actually help turn the ball over and give Justin Herbert more opportunities. Now, does this now change things for the Chargers where now I'm going to wave a banner and say, well, this is a team that is considered to be a premier threat to the Kansas City Chiefs or Joe Burrow and the Bengals or Baltimore Ravens? I'm not willing to do that, but they get a fine piece of their defense back.
Where does Joey Bosa make the most sense for you? Is it in San Francisco with his brother?
No, it's sitting on the couch with me. To be honest, and look,
wow.
Not to be negative about the player, but
wait a second. You can't say something like that and say not to be negative about a player, Nick.
Well, let me put some context to it. The reason being because over the past 2 years for the Chargers, he's been doing just that. His production has gone down, and also he's been hurt, which also kind of leaned into his production being down. So he spent some of his time on the sofa anyway. He might as well just go all in. That's all I'm saying. I mean, listen, if you or Sam have a different opinion, let me know. But this is what I've been seeing because, the Chargers are in the AFC West. So I get a chance to see, both up close and personal. And he continued to leave the game early due to a lower leg injury or concussion. And when that started to happen in your career, man, that's bad.
I think, Nick, especially just to back up your point a little, because it's truly not something that I had considered when we had talked about it last week on the show, but he is a very much creditor of name recognition, right? He gets a lot of credit for things that his brother and his family have done as well, while if you look at the numbers, his career's been in regression the last 2 to 3 years. So that is the fact. I wanted to get your general thought, though, Nick. I know it's early, right? And there are going to be moves coming in all throughout this week. But so far, what move on the defensive side do you think has been most impactful early in this offseason?
We got 1 minute. Go ahead, Nick.
I'll go back to the conversation we were having just a while ago. It's Myles Garrett. I mean, the Cleveland fans were clamoring for that team to make, the playoffs or even get to a Super Bowl, which I don't think is going to happen. But they needed to find a way to keep someone, that they're familiar with to kind of keep their fan base happy with this possibility of what might happen. And that seems to be the thing for Cleveland Brown fans. They just hinge on this idea of what could possibly happen, but it's not going to happen for them, unfortunately. So Myles Garrett staying with the Cleveland Browns, that gives the fans something to hoot and holler about. But I mean, that's kind of that big, sexy, pickup in free agency, a guy who's already on your roster.
I wonder if they go quarterback at number 2 or Travis Hunter. I think that's going to be interesting and something we could explore a little bit more. Nick's going to hang around for one more segment. We've bolted him to the chair. We'll get some thoughts with him on some quarterback news. We didn't even talk about Geno Smith yet or Josh Allen's big contract. We'll get to it next. SportsWrap continues, and so does the conversation with our friend Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, KOA Radio in Denver as well, where he does a great job on all sports up there. Let's talk about quarterbacks. I have to be honest. There were a lot of people surprised that Geno Smith wound up in Las Vegas with the Raiders. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them when it comes to that move. To pair him back up with Pete Carroll, Nick.
No, I wasn't really shocked myself because the thing about how Geno Smith came into the league, and we remember watching that first day he was sitting in that green room, and then he had to come back again, and luckily he had to change of clothes, and then he was selected by the New York Jets, and then we just saw his career fall off as he was labeled a bust. But for me, the idea is going to the right team and joining Pete Carroll in Seattle was the best thing for him. He sat behind Russell Wilson, then all of a sudden the reins were given to him, and Pete restored confidence in Geno Smith that he can go out and he can perform, and perform he did. Now, we're not talking about Geno Smith as we would talk about Peyton Manning or John Elway, but he still did a great job, and Pete likes familiarity. I mean, he wants to bring guys that he knows. So don't be surprised if you see maybe Tyler Lockett get signed by the Raiders sometime soon, because that is someone you can put in the slot. You got Jacoby Myers, you got Brock Bowers, you got Geno. All you need to go out and get a running back. That could be Ashton Genty. That could be Quishon Junkins or Trevion Henderson from Ohio State. All guys that new offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, he's familiar with. So for me, the AFC West just got that much more interesting.
Nick, another part of that massive Seahawks blow up was the trade that sent away DK Metcalf for a second-round pick. What do you make of the Steelers wide receiver room between Pickens, Metcalf, and I guess you want to talk about all the pass catchers, throw Freiermuth in there?
Well, once again, it's an arms race, and we see most teams kind of operate and work out 11 personnel. So the Steelers realized that they were not as strong as they needed to be from a wide receiver position. We watched the playoff game where George Pickens seems to fall apart. He was dropping passes. So to bring in another kind of strong-minded, stubborn head, bullhead, or whatever you want to call it, wide receiver is only going to help Pickens kind of take his game to the next level. And from a defensive standpoint, you're thinking, okay, well, where do we slide our defense? Who do we double? So it makes things a little more difficult for other defensive units as they try to stop him. Now, the biggest question is, now you got two vertical passing wide receiver, and you mentioned Freiermuth. The question is, who in the hell is throwing him the ball, right? You still don't know who's throwing him the ball, and you got Justin Fields in Dubai, right? He's in talk with both the Jets and the Steelers, so that means that there's a hard pause on Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So if Fields decides to go to the Jets, now the Pittsburgh Steelers options, once again, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. So I'll ask you guys, of those two guys, Russell and Rodgers, who would you rather have? I see
Neither? Is that an answer?
I'll go Russell Wilson. I won't cop out on this. I'll go Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Because the headaches that Rodgers comes with. That
Yep.
I don't think I don't think that jives well with what Mike Tomlin is doing. I'm not a fan of that. And secondly, I think if you surround Russell Wilson with the right talent, he's one of those quarterbacks that can still perform at a high enough level. I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl, but I don't know if there's any answer out there right now that makes the Steelers a Super Bowl team. Is there?
No, not really. But I mean, I would rather have Russell Wilson for the same reason that you said, because Aaron Rodgers comes with a lot of baggage. And one thing we know about Mike Tomlin, man, he is as straight and narrow as they come.
Yeah.
And Rodgers is coming in with that nonsensical stuff he had in Green Bay and with the Jets. I mean, it's a no-go, but Russell Wilson is one of the league's, best deep ball throwing quarterbacks. And the only thing he didn't have last year was he didn't have another threat outside of George Pickens. He didn't have a run game, and his defense fell apart at the end. So if the Steelers can go out, which I think they probably will, kind of add some pieces here and there, you get Russell on a veteran minimum deal. You still can go and get your quarterback of the future. So the Steelers still, in the game, but I don't know with the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Can I go Devontae Adams for a moment? I love that move for Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Yeah, I love that too as well, because you already have Puka Nacua, right? You got a nice running back. And the fact that you adding Devontae as you kick Cooper Kupp to the curb, but you have a faster, better route runner, more explosive guys. And Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, they want shots down the field. That's something that they were not able to do. But once again, by them framing out their wide receiver room, it makes it difficult to match up with them. So think about it. You got Puka Nacua, who's a great short intermediate route runner, and you have Devontae Adams, who's a vertical threat and explosive passing game. That makes it really difficult. So I like what Sean McVay was able to do by acquiring Devontae Adams. And here's the crazy thing about it. A lot of fans are going to look around the league, and a lot of media outlets are going to say, well, who won free agency? You know who wins every single year? The NFL. And the reason they win every single year, because guess what? You have Devontae leaving the Jets, going to the Rams. At some point, whether it's a Thursday night game, Sunday night game, a Monday night game, guess who's going to be playing the New York Jets? The Los Angeles Rams. So the NFL wins every single year.
Go ahead, Sam. I was going to ask about Aaron Rodgers, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh, no more of this Aaron Rodgers stuff. Let's talk about a real top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback in the league. Nick, we got a minute and a half to talk about how great Josh Allen is. What did you make of $330 million with $250 million guaranteed for the Buffalo quarterback?
Wow, I guess it's nice to be Haley Steinsfeld. That's all I can say. Wow, that's talk about the money in the bank. That's why. And just think about it.
Must be nice to never reach a Super Bowl and still get paid that kind of money. Must be great.
Well, think about it. It's all based on projections,
of course,
right? That's what it is. And Buffalo had to say, well, Josh, you won the MVP. This is us thanking you. But Buffalo fans say, you know what? The hell with that. You want to thank us, get us to a Super Bowl, but also win one. So this puts more pressure on Josh Allen. You already coming off an MVP season. Can you duplicate that? But also, can you finally get the Bills and Sam to a Super Bowl? That's the conversation.
By the way, I have the answer. If that's a rhetorical question, then I won't answer. But it's not a rhetorical question, so I'll say no. Still not getting to a Super Bowl.
And you know what? At the end of the day, he would be able to say, well, he made more money than Jim Kelly, even though he didn't get him to the Super Bowl.
There you go. We got to go, Nick. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
All right, coming up in 10 minutes, something to consider about the Lakers and LeBron James. All right, let's talk some NASCAR. It's a Monday. Our Friday, Monday NASCAR wraparound segment with this guy, Tino Pattigno. NASCAR betting insider, Sirius XM radio. You can catch him there. previewing races and giving you betting advice, and he hangs out with us on the show. So, Tino, Christopher Bell does it again. He wins his third straight race. He's won 3 of the first 4 races to start the season, first since Bill Elliott to do that, which means it was a while ago. Try and put in perspective what he's been able to do here over the first month of the NASCAR season.
It's been awesome. I think the run that Christopher Bell has been, going on is not just something that needs to be looked at as, a talent perspective. It's been great to see, a great driving, showcase. All these wins earned in respectful driving photo finishes that we've seen in Atlanta, at Coda. It was a great battle with Kyle Busch, and now once again at Phoenix, a couple laps to go, battling it out with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson. Like, what Bell has done to get these victories should be stated and noted and applauded as well. But let's also keep in mind 3 completely different racetracks. He won at Atlanta Super Speedway, Coda, a road course, and then Phoenix, a mile track where it's got the dog leg, it's an oval. I think to see
a wreck always waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
We have 11 cautions yesterday.
Yes, a big caution-filled race, different tire strategies as well. Let's throw that in the mix too for him, and he still really dominated the day. It was between him and William Byron, the 2 top cars to beat. Joey Logano was in the mix, but he had that issue there, went sort of out of bounds, as you can say, and to have the full recap, I think for Christopher Bell to win this race is really, really impressive to me. 3 completely different style of racetracks and racing and option tires that you throw at him in the beginning part of the season, and still he always rises, it seems, from those any challenges he faced and gets the job done again.
Does Joey Logano win this race if not for that error on the restart where he just crosses the yellow line before the start finish line? Does he win this race if that doesn't happen?
No, I don't think you can definitively say it goes to Logano. I would put Bell first, Byron second, and then if that had not happened to Joey Logano, he would have been my third, threat overall to see play out. But you still had guys, Denny Hamlin in the mix there. Kyle Larson was in the mix, but he sort of was after William Byron took himself out of contention there at the end. And Byron did nothing wrong. It was just how the caution fell with him coming to the pits and everything like that. But to me, I think Joey Logano would have been up there. He definitely would have had, more of a chance to lead, and maybe we could have seen things play out differently. But the 20 car was just super fast, long runs, being able to manage the tires too at the end. I don't think Joey Logano definitively can say that he wins that race, but he definitely would have had a chance to do so. Him getting in trouble there with a penalty, it took him out of contention.
We mentioned Kyle Larson. We had him on the show last week. His best finish so far this season. Is that sort of the building block for him going into Las Vegas?
It is, and I think we talked earlier on in the show heading into the race weekend, saying this is a good point to see what Kyle Larson's season can sort of take shape and start to look like. And I think he proved us right there with the top 3 finish. Wasn't the best car all day either. The 24 car and his team was better than him, but for Kyle Larson to leave with the top 3. Chance to win there at the end, that's something that the 5 team is known for. That's something that they can sort of hang their head on and be like, okay, we're even at our not fastest speeds, we're still hanging up there with a shot to win. At Vegas, I'd like to see more speed, right? Because you could be happy with Hendrick Motorsports finishing 3, 6, Alex Bowman in the top 10, Chase Elliott in the top 10 finishing 10th. That's fine, but they want to win. So we need to see a little bit more speed if they're going to do that.
What did we learn about the softer tires in another, instance where we get to see it in competition? And in race condition, in actual racing conditions.
Yeah, so they didn't wear as much as I think people would have thought, but in terms of implementing more strategy to the race, in what it's meant to do for a track like Phoenix too, if you take that tire away, we sort of lose a bunch of storylines. Ryan Preece, Joey Logano able to climb back, right? Because he put those red tires on and was able to sort of make up for that penalty in certain instances, see where the caution had fell and use their strategy to that, standpoint to try to figure out the best course of having to combat what happened to them. So to me, when you put the crew chiefs in a better position to make calls and make strategy and sort of impact the race from that standpoint, in which other races, they don't have that much, super speedways, that's not too much a crew chief can do to help the driver from a strategy standpoint, to get ahead, to get an advantage. We saw that with the option tire, and I think that's what it's meant to do. Other drivers say, they don't really want two tires. They want the option tire to be the tire, just the primary tire, to have more fall off, some grip at time, a little bit more grip. And I think that would be great to see as well. So I think this was a great race at Phoenix to sort of showcase what the future may be for that, if there's any more potential opportunities.
What was the biggest disappointment of the weekend to you?
Oh, good question.
Bubba?
To me,
I know Bubba had a rotor and a tire blowout. I mean, is it Bubba Wallace?
It's not Bubba Wallace. I think, he had a strong run going, top 10, top 15. That was out of his control. I would say Ryan Blaney's streak coming to an end, right? He could have been easily 8 straight top 5 finishes. He didn't look like a car that could contend for the win, but if you put him in a top 5 scenario on a restart, I definitely think he could have got there. And it was shaping up for him to have another strong run. That just ultimately ends. His engine blows out. Nothing he could do, but sad to see that streak come to a close.
Yeah. Well, look, for people that don't know, Tino's going to be out here in Vegas where I am based. This week, we're going to do some fun stuff out at the track from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, leading into this race this weekend out here. Tino, always appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you in a couple days out here in Vegas.
Yes, sir. Tune in.
We're coming back. Don't go anywhere. Something to consider next. All right. Welcome back to this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. All across America, Canada, podcast, YouTube. It's a myriad ways to get this show. Sam Yarnell, something to consider on this Monday edition of the show. Something to consider. Did the Lakers season end with LeBron James' groin? I just like saying that word. It's a weird word. Groin. On Saturday night against the Boston Celtics.
That's it?
Yes.
Yes, it did. I'm sorry. Not just because of LeBron James' groin, but this whole fantasy world we've been living in since, I don't know, the beginning of February, the end of January, through the All-Star break. This whole world where the Lakers are this sneaky team that we could see in the Western Conference Finals.
Sloppy Joe.
Because they won a couple of games against Philadelphia. Oh no, they lost to Philadelphia during that streak. Against Charlotte and against Brooklyn, and they beat the Wizards. Oh wow! And look at that, they beat the Wizards twice actually during that streak. But who's counting? Oh, look at that, they're in second place in the West. Oh my gosh! Wow! And then the injury happened to LeBron James in a game that I'm still not confident that they'd win, even if LeBron had played that whole game. There are other factors here besides them not having the greatest basketball player of all time for the next couple of weeks, if they're lucky. I think they'll get pretty lucky considering how awesome that guy's body has been over the course of his career. But regardless, the Lakers season is over. You look at the basketball power index. They have, over the course of their next 6 games, one game where they're given a more than 61% chance to win. That's does Brooklyn. Not bode well.
Is that Brooklyn tonight?
The schedule upcoming for the Lakers is going to show you so much about who this team really is, and Luka's not going to be able to do it himself. Having Jackson Dart clearly hurting them. He was playing well for them at the time.
Jackson Hayes.
Oh my gosh, we've been talking about
you pulled the Jason
Browns
Page
quarterback situation, and now I'm thinking about Ole Miss quarterbacks instead of Lakers center. Yes. What are we doing here?
It's contagious. I love it. Last week I called DK Metcalf DJ Metcalf with a completely straight face. Yes, it's
like
great.
DJ Augustine.
Yes.
Now that's a name pull.
Let me back up the train a little bit here for you. Okay. They played the game without Jackson Hayes the other night. I can't grade what the Lakers are over the next 2 weeks without LeBron when they're without LeBron, who you just argued is one of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time. Just tread water. And here is my advice, okay? If you look at the banner on the bottom of the screen, that's the Jason Page take. Because it is Sports Wrap with Jason Page, as much as we love Sam right now. One day it'll be Sports Wrap with Sam Yarnell, but right now it's Sports Wrap with Jason Page. Spoiler. Something to consider. Sit LeBron as long as needed. If I'm the Lakers, forget 2 weeks. Sit him as long as you need to. You have to protect LeBron from LeBron in this instance. You cannot let him rush back out there just because he wants to get out there and play with Luka, and those two are having fun together and doing what they do. You cannot rush LeBron back from this type of injury because it will linger. It'll carry into the postseason. I don't care. I mean, look, would I like the Lakers if you're rooting for the idea of the Lakers making a deep run? Would I like the Lakers to be a 2 seed? Absolutely. But here's the reality. They can win from anywhere in the West because the only team I think they wind up losing to, if you say right now in a 7-game series, is Oklahoma City. Whether they play at home or on the road, I don't think it's going to matter. I just want to have a healthy, 100% healthy LeBron for a run in the postseason. So if you got to sit him 3 weeks, you sit him 3 weeks. If you have to sit him for a month, you sit him for a month. But you do not, under any circumstances, let LeBron come back before that thing is 100% healed, Sam Yarnell.
I was just looking for a price to see if there was a chance that you could get the Lakers to miss the playoffs, because obviously we know that if they make the play-in, that doesn't guarantee them the playoffs. Yeah, listen, that obviously FanDuel saw me coming a mile away because they're not even offering it. But
what's
that's
the Lakers'
where I would
next
look.
6 here? Let's see. Hold on. Lakers next 6 at the so they got the Celtics.
Here's what it is, Jason. You ready? I got it right in front of me. It's 10 games in 10 days. At Brooklyn tonight, at Milwaukee Thursday, at Denver Friday. That's a back-to-back. They're going to lose both of those games. Then Sunday they'll play at home against Phoenix. Monday against San Antonio. Next Wednesday at home against Denver. Next Thursday home against Milwaukee. Like that is not an easy schedule, and it's 7 games in 10 days. They will be incredibly lucky to go 3-4.
I would agree with you. They'd be very lucky to go 3-4. Because
would not be surprised Brooklyn if they went 1-6.
You could beat Brooklyn. I think you could still beat Phoenix because Phoenix is dysfunctional with a capital D. And you'll beat San Antonio. I mean, if you go 3-4 in that stretch, and that winds up that's 10 days. That's not even the entire stretch without LeBron. You're still going to be without him after that. But then you got Chicago.
Then you have 3 games and 4 games.
And then 4 games Chicago,
on the road, Orlando, and Indiana.
Then you got 4 games on the road.
It is not going to be a fun next couple of weeks for Lakers fans.
No, it isn't.
Really is not.
By the way, Vegas hasn't budged on their odds, though. That does deserve mention. Nothing's really changed on that front. Big winner here might be Denver. Denver can wind up the 2 seed now. Memphis could still wind up the 2 seed. Houston's kind of fading. We got some odds and ends around the corner. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Where did the time go? Tomorrow? I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some NFL news to talk about. Legal tampering underway. So we'll get into that. We've got conference tournament week. By the way, congrats to Central Connecticut State University. That program was in the dumps for like the last, 7-8 years. Danielle Marshall was their head coach, former UConn Husky. Well, now they've hired another former Husky, Patrick Sellers, back in, I think, 22. They hired him. And Central Connecticut State University is a win away against St. Francis of Pennsylvania on Tuesday night from being back in the NCAA tournament for the first time in like forever. I have a fondness for that program because I did some play-by-play for their football and their basketball program, a little bit of baseball. Love Central Connecticut State University. Tom Pinsons is the athletic director there. Congratulations to CCSU. Go and get that win on Tuesday night and make the NCAA tournament. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast version of the show. Available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Go and check it out. Without any further delay, Sam Yarnell, time for some odds and ends, presented by our friends over at Credit Associates. Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt, in over your head trying to make monthly payments? Well, there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades. Are you more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Well, with one affordable low monthly payment, Credit Associates can help you. The debt relief program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months. Who doesn't want that? Save you thousands of dollars, decades in debt. Find out how much you could save right now by calling 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362, or just scan the QR code below. Russell Henley, your winner at the Arnold Palmer Bay Hill Invitational, Sam Yarnell. I need big names. I don't need Russell Henley winning events. I need winners. I need big names. I'll borrow a phrase from my mom, who I talked to yesterday morning, who loves watching golf every weekend. Mom said, "What's going on with Scotty Scheffler, Jason?" It's a good question. Players Championship coming up this week, and Russell Henley, your winner, $4 million Bay Hill Invitational. First win in a few years for him.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the story of this, Jason, I was watching it, I was flipping back and forth between it and then a race, and the story was over the course of the final
NBC
6
missing the
holes.
winning shot. How about NBC missing the winning shot when he chips in on like 16 and they only catch the ball going into the hole because they were in commercial. I got a Rolex commercial, but I didn't get to see Russell Henley hit the biggest shot of the tournament. Nice job.
Well, because the story even then, Jason, was Colin Morikawa choking the tournament away. It was really tough to see.
Yeah.
Again, 1 over through the final 6 holes at Bay Hill. It's not something that is a good sign going into major season when you're looking at Morikawa, who has been great, especially over the course of the last, 3 years in these major season and major style events, these elevated events. So yeah, tough day for Morikawa at the office. Hopefully he can bounce back and find it before Augusta. But credit to Henley, great round there at the end. You mentioned the eagle on 16. That is, one of the harder holes in golf. I think a lot of people will tell you, and eagles were not easy to come by during this tournament there. So credit to Russell Henley. Great final round and a great job to maintain over Colin Morikawa there.
Yeah, it was. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. The Knicks signed PJ Tucker. I like it. It's a good signing. It's a good signing for that team. He is a Tom Thibodeau type player. I like that signing by the Knicks.
Yeah. Obviously
He'll play 4 minutes.
The smaller pieces of news to come out of New York this weekend.
I don't want to talk about Garrett
than
Cole.
What we're talking about next.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about Garrett Cole. I can't. I can't. I can't. The elbow.
Okay, then let's talk about how Louis Hill, the reigning AL Rookie of the Year, is going to miss 3 months. We can talk about that instead. And folks, that is the end of the New York Yankees 2024 season. And I'll just say, across the river in Queens, it's not that much better either.
What are you
Francisco
talking about?
Alvarez, 4 months with a broken, what did he break, his ankle or his wrist or his hand?
Sam, Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes is the story of the spring for the Mets. He has been outstanding. 8 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings yesterday against your Washington Nationals.
Oh my gosh. Breaking news. Closer still good at closing. I want to see what Clay Holmes can do in his 5th inning of work, not his 3rd. By the way, that was his longest outing of the spring, Jason Page.
It's
I
early.
understand
It's a whole month
the
until
Clay
the
Holmes
season
thinking,
starts.
but as a respected ball knower in the
boy.
baseball community, I think
boy.
it is my duty to tell the people out there, oh my gosh, this is not proving anything. The doubts around Clay Holmes are that he can't start.
How much time do I have left? Because I started the clock wrong. So you could
40
just tell me.
seconds.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask. Appreciate you letting me know. Clay Holmes. We'll ask David Ardsma when we have him on later in the week. Get his thoughts on the Clay Holmes situation with the
And
Mets.
Garrett Cole. And Grayson Rodriguez. There are so many injuries in spring training.
Of
I can't
course.
wait for baseball.
Pitchers are hurt. Wow, and water's wet. Gonna do it for us. Thanks to Tino Pattigno, Nick Ferguson, you Sam Yarnell. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. A lot of NFL news to get to then.